That's
Hello,
actually
everyone.
Hey.
Welcome to the patch. This week brought to you by Blue Apron, MeUndies, and Pro Flowers.
Wow, look at that.
Three sponsors.
Look at this
Aren't we
classy
the
set.
This is what it's like to be on a real established podcast. Just so you know, Jeremy.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I know.
wow.
I actually
He's
have
been
not-
on the patch before.
I've been, yeah, but not on this setup of the patch.
Oh,
I've never been on the patch before. This is
that-
exciting.
Damn.
Do we do? What are the rules? Do we introduce ourselves?
Oh,
I
yeah.
know
Oh,
that there's
flip
this
that. You gotta
thing.
flip that.
Right
You
now?
gotta flip
Yeah.
that now.
Okay.
You're
Gus is already sweating.
You're already late. We're already behind. I'm
I was
Gus.
told that
And
was hard to
also,
do.
I love it. You confuse the
Gus.
switcher because they usually cut to me when the flip happens. But they cut to me and then they cut to you.
Yeah,
'cause
they're like,
wait,
oh, shit.
no,
Keeping
he's
you
not
on your
there.
toes.
Start it again, guys.
I'm Gus.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Miles.
And I'm Gus. And we're here to talk about video games and video game news.
Video game sausage fest.
We've got a Mother's Day related podcast and
I like
no
going to me, it's
ladies.
like we have a mother.
Well, there's the flowers.
You are
that
the mother hen of the group.
Well,
Yes.
I mean, normally we do. Just this week, due to extenuating circumstances, we do not. But before we went live, Meg was here, making sure that we all.
She's ready to jump in.
She had a
Yeah.
screw attack cape on, which was cool.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
It wasn't a cape. It was a blanket. I think.
But if you wear a blanket over your back, it's essentially a cape.
It's true.
No, it is not.
Well, I think the point of a cape is waterproofing, though, right?
Wait, I'm
Do
sorry.
capes
what?
have a point?
Yeah. The capes keep rain off of
and it's
you.
also to break the wind, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, only if it's coming from one direction, so that doesn't.
No, but you
even
can like wrap a cape around you.
you're beautiful.
I mean, that's like a cow.
I was torn between making a fart joke and a One Direction joke. Yeah.
We're making distinctions between capes and cowls now.
Oh my god.
I mean,
Technically,
games.
you are correct once again. What was it last week? You were
That's kind of
obtuse
correct.
And what was the other word? Obscure and obtuse.
That's
I think.
right. You are once again. Ryan is correct.
All right.
You can't say the words, but you know the words.
Man, it's all locked in here somehow.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the biggest video game related thing that happened today was
Look
the
at Captain
announcement
on topic
of
here.
The NX,
The NX.
Nintendo's next
I mean,
gen
it's
console.
sure
Next
it's big
gen.
news for like, Nintendo
So
plebs.
lots of questions.
Plebs.
Man, we're starting out like that, huh, Ryan?
Holy shit.
That's where we're drawing the line.
I honestly don't care that much, but it's just fun to throw down because then people get all upset. It's
You're
like-
one of those people that just likes
Somebody's
to.
gotta
You're the
poke
kid that
it in.
kicks the anthill to see them
Somebody's
swarm.
gotta do it.
Yeah.
That's what starts the
Thank
conversation.
you. Thank you for taking up
That's
that
my
mantle of
service.
responsibility.
Lots of questions regarding this announcement.
Yeah.
But no answers.
No
really.
answers. March 2017. Not a when's the last time you saw a console not launch holiday? Was it the Dreamcast, which launched in September?
which did great.
The only reason I know the answer to this is because of I just did the no read for it, but I think the 3DS was like a summer release.
I don't really count handhelds though.
Okay.
I'm talking about like home console.
Shitting over every console.
We don't know that
count
the
that.
NX isn't some kind of handheld.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true. Also,
They said nothing about
and we're
it.
not going to find out at E3.
Nope.
Because it's not going to be there.
But
They'll have one
next
playable
year-
game though. I don't know what it is, but they'll have it.
No, they'll have Zelda.
Oh yeah, they've announced
Well,
it's
so
Zelda.
they said Zelda's going to be their main focus of the press conference. They said they're going to have one playable game at E3.
Zelda.
Is that Zelda?
Yeah,
Zelda.
and then it's
Okay.
going to be on the Wii U and the NX.
And they
Curious
don't
to
want
see what a Zelda demo is.
They
like.
didn't want to distract people from Zelda, which is why they brought nothing else. Is what they said.
Oh, sure, because Zelda really needs some more attention from its fucking fanboys.
That's like it's like when you
it
make
does.
meatloaf and mashed potatoes and you burn the meatloaf and you just serve mashed potatoes and you're like, I really didn't want to distract from the creaminess of these potatoes. It's like everything else is on fire in the trash can. You're like, but the
what
potatoes
a weird
are really
reference.
good.
Like Gus is like, I know something.
Dude,
perfect
I've got
for
an
this.
analogy that is prime for this.
We Gus like
Learned a lot
burned
about his
meatloaf and
dinner
he was
last
like,
night. Yeah,
I'll use this.
This is coming back. Something will come of
this
this.
was a teachable moment.
So, I feel like the internet right now, the biggest thing they're freaking out about revolving around the NX is specifically Zelda being split between the Nintendo Wii U and the NX, very much like Twilight Princess was between the GameCube and the Nintendo Wii.
But those were also separate release dates, weren't they?
No.
Or am I remembering
They-
wrong?
I was
Well-
told this morning they were the same by a friend of mine who is a huge Zelda fanboy.
They
so-
are now. I think originally they were going to be separate release dates, but Zelda got delayed, and the speculation is they delayed it so it would be simultaneous
talking
and be
about-
a launch title for the NX.
Well, no, I'm talking about Twilight Princess.
Yes, okay.
Twilight Princess is on the same day, and I think
Gotcha.
it was.
It looks like you are correct. I'm
so-
double checking.
Would anybody here consider themselves like a huge diehard Zelda fan?
Absolutely not.
No, nobody.
So
I mean, do you really want me to answer that? Or
I can assume it's a no.
Essentially
actually,
the
I
same.
do love Zelda.
The
to be honest.
Wii
I haven't played them all though.
in North America, the Wii version was released November 19th, 2006. The GameCube version was December 11th, 2006. So almost a month gap between the two. But that's really negligible.
Yeah.
I'd argue it's pretty much the same thing.
I don't know. People are really up in arms about it. I'm kind of torn on the whole thing because it's like, I think it's actually Miyamoto that has a quote. I'm going to get it wrong, but it's like, I think his quote was, a delayed game is good eventually, but a bad game is bad forever. It was
Well, I think recent developments in gameplay would prove that false. I mean,
Well,
a
to an
bad
extent.
game is it's launched bad and then made into a good game.
That's true. Some games have
However,
done that.
sometimes
Some
like,
games have
I don't
pulled that
know.
off.
I don't know what the state of Batman Arkham City is on the PC, but that had a horrible PC.
Well, look, I
release,
mean,
and
playable.
it was
Destiny was a bad game.
Yeah,
at launch.
exactly. Destiny's a perfect example.
Destiny was a palatable game at launch. I don't know if it would be a bad game. I don't know if I would call it a bad game. And
All right.
I enjoyed playing it. By no means am I saying Destiny is a fucking great game. But it wasn't straight up broken.
True. Well, yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah.
There was some. I mean, the Luke Cave wasn't that bad.
To an extent, now I in general I agree with that that sentiment. However, it feels as though this game was not delayed so that they could take more time to make it better. It feels as though it was delayed so that they could then make sure that it works on the NX and then use that to help drive sales for the NX.
Launch title.
And
But
make
if,
it
that bad?
that's the
Interesting
case, the
point here,
counter
though.
argument then is why launch it on the Wii U as well? Because
because it was originally promised on the Wii U.
Well,
yeah, but if you launch it on the Wii U, you're not moving NXs because your audience. Let's be honest. The people who are going to buy NXs are people who are already in that ecosystem.
Yes.
You're trying to sell Wii U owners to move to the NX. If you release this title on both platforms, you're not moving those people off of the Wii U.
you're trying to
Depends on how
no,
amazing
I
the
disagree.
NX is.
You're trying to move people from Wii to the NX is really because they had a huge install base for Wii, and then Wii U just kind of.
There's also the
there's
thing
an
of, like,
interesting thing though. Oh, go ahead.
If you don't have, like, let's say you don't have a Wii U or an NX, you could get the Wii U version of the game because the console will be cheaper at that point in time. However, most people, and I can't speak for everyone, would say, well, no, I'm going to get it on the newer generation console.
Yeah.
Like, why would I not go for that one? I feel like the reason it's coming out on the Wii U is because it has been promised. It was fucking, isn't it called Zelda U or something? Or at least that was the working title for a while.
That was just working title.
Yeah. But still, though, like, it was promised, oh, it's definitely coming out on this console this year, next year and on both consoles.
I think what might be most interesting about the situation, though, is okay, the NX, they've said almost nothing about it, but what they have said is it's kind of a new, again, it's a new concept.
Sure.
Like they're doing something. They've indicated it was going to be kind of a new direction, sort of, I guess, akin to like when Wii U was like, oh, motion controls are a thing now. But how much of a new concept can it be?
I don't know.
If it can still play Zelda. So unless they completely remaster how the control scheme works, it's going to be a pretty apples to apples control.
Well, I
setup.
mean, unless it just does something extra, like it does, it has the capabilities of an old console, but
Right.
with whatever is new. gonna
So
be
that
in
may
here,
mean that it's got backwards compatibility essentially. Like it may
Wii
be
U
you
had
still
that.
have still be able to use your old controllers.
Maybe.
I mean, it doesn't tell you much, but it gives you another avenue for speculation.
Yeah. It's weird though because it's hard. It's both easy and hard to be mad at Nintendo for this thing because it's easy in that it's like, oh, you guys promised us this game. Oh, you're just doing this to make money. But at the same, it's like, yeah, of course they're doing this to make money. I think the
that
other
is the
thing they
business,
announced today was
yeah.
that they have a 60% drop in profits or something. I might be misquoting that, but it's like this wasn't a great year for Nintendo. And at their core, it's a business, and a business is designed to make money. If you had a way to practically guarantee that, oh, people are going to buy your new console because it has a new fucking Zelda game, which is like the hottest title in Nintendo.
But
these
you don't need to
days.
buy
It's
the new
not, though.
console.
But here's the thing, like,
But
at
people
least,
will.
But
They
people
will.
will. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They'll say, "Do I want this at this point an inferior version of the game?"
Okay, I'm going to look up Twilight Princess sales.
I can tell
I'm
you right
su-
now.
I'm super
Actually,
interested.
I know because I just thankfully I just did a no story. So the last two Zelda titles have done about 7 million copies apiece. So it's not really even remotely in the league of like Mario. Mario's more than like 11 million, 11 to 20 something million, I think, for like Galaxy.
Interesting. I feel like it's probably because Zelda has more of like the diehard fans. Like, Michael's got tattoos all over his body. Like, people that
Yeah.
love Zelda. But Mario is your Mickey Mouse. Like, everybody, like, even if parents don't know like much about video games, they know that people like fucking Mario.
Yeah.
He's a plumber. He goes, wahoo! You get the
Right.
star, you get the coin, you fight Bowser, you get the toad.
true.
So
Cool.
Twilight
Peach.
Princess sales actually back up your theory.
Oh, really?
Twilight Princess on the GameCube sold 1.32 million units. On the Wii, it sold 7.26.
And it will. That's just how it will work. I mean,
For a new
I'm that
console,
way. I don't
yeah.
know if
you
you
know,
guys are
I-
all that way. Like,
It's I don't know. It's weird. Like, I feel like as I got older, I started to kind of realize you can bitch and complain and moan all you want about something, but there's still going to be 7 million, however many people that are going to go out and buy this game on
Yeah.
the NX and get this new version of it, and people will continue to do stuff like that if it continues to work. Like, something I've learned as I got older is if you really don't want to support something, then don't buy into it. Like, literally, don't give them your money. Like. That's just how you do it.
I think
That's how you vote. You vote with your money.
It's true, but at the same time, if you are a big fan of like a series like Zelda and you don't buy that title, there might be some. Well, granted, I don't think people think about this. They just say, "Oh, there's a new Zelda game out. I'm going to buy it and play it for myself." But if you kill the newest title in that series, you may kill the series.
That's a fair argument. I don't know.
That kills your hope for ever having a good one.
I don't know if Zelda could ever follow that.
Zelda
hard.
can't. I mean, there are titles that could though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, Zelda's a bad example in this particular
Fucking
case.
Skyward Sword. People still think that's a good game.
That was a mobile game though, right?
No. You're Link Between Worlds, which came on 3DS, is my favorite Zelda game ever.
That's the best Zelda game ever.
It's so fucking good. In general, I tend to find the 2D Zelda games more enjoyable because the puzzles, everything you need for the puzzle is right there in front of you. Whereas in the 3D games, it could just be, oh, you didn't look up there and see that thing. And I don't know, that's just a personal preference of mine.
No, I can understand that.
Egoraptor touched on it really well in his Sequelitis episode about Ocarina. But I don't even remember where the fuck I was going with this. Oh, yeah. No, so Skyward Sword, that was the Wii title that was like, oh, 1-for-1 sword fighting, buy the Motion Plus. And then there was the whole thing where
What was the
Miyamoto played it
one?
at E3 and it didn't work. So that was, the 4-player one is, there's a 3-player one, Triforce Heroes, that just recently came out on 3DS. Before that, the latest mobile one was Link Between Worlds.
There was a 4-player one, though, wasn't there?
Four Swords.
Four Swords. There you go.
Four Swords was Game Boy Advance.
I knew there was a sword in there somewhere.
I think so. I think it was Game Boy Advance. I know it's a handheld title.
I can't be that old.
Yeah, dude.
Shocking to
That's an
Gus.
old game. It was a free giveaway when I got my 3DS.
You're probably confused because I'm sure it's
I wanna see
transitioned
Gus's
into
mind get blown
subsequent
right here.
consoles. Like you probably could have played it on the next 3 handheld consoles.
Please. Please.
Wait, I'm looking at those 4 Swords Adventures.
It's funny, man. Twilight Princess did so well on the Wii because back then the Wii was like, that was hot shit, man. Like I remember.
Oh my God, it is a
people
GBA.
fought over that thing. And now it's like I when they came out with Twilight Princess, the remastered version for the Wii U, I was like,
There it is. There's
oh
the
sweet,
mind
I can
being
finally
blown.
play
I
that
love
game
it.
without motion controls.
Actually, with the Wii, yeah, it was actually the original Wii was the only console I ever camped out for just to buy and sell one. I bought it and just to
did
resell it.
There is no joy in Ryan Haywood's life. There is only
No.
profit.
I was like, someone's gonna buy this, and I ended up selling it to a friend of mine for
I gave
like
mine to my little
the
brother.
price that I bought it.
I
for.
didn't. I remember I didn't pre-order a Wii because I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. I thought you'd be able to buy it, no problem. And when like release day came around, like a friend of mine worked at GameStop, and I was just like, "Hey, can you get me one?" They're like, "Yeah, sure." And then apparently, you could not get one forever after that.
It was like a totally whim decision on my part when we did. It was me and a couple friends, and we just said, "What the fuck? Let's go see if we can actually
make
get one
some
of these."
money.
Well, yeah. Well, no, they wanted one. I was like, "Well, fuck. I got enough money to buy one. I bet I can resell it and actually maybe mark up a little."
an ass.
I didn't end up doing it. I even sold it to
I
a
will
friend.
profit off of your fun. All right.
But so I mean, this was the night of too, because I didn't realistically think it was going to happen. But we drove around and found a couple places where lines out the door. We ended up settling at a Best Buy where it was a pretty long line. And right when that opened, they were like, "Yeah, it's not happening." But right next door was a Toys R Us with nobody in front of it.
Yup, that's where I went for some amiibos back when I was
So
like,
we just
all about
snuck
those.
over there. Toys R Us didn't open for another 2 hours, but we just hung out and doors open. We were like the first 10 in the door.
Creepy adults hanging outside the Toys R Us.
Well, this was a long
Like
time
putting
ago,
his hand
dude.
on the giraffe, like
You want to buy a Wii? I got a Wii.
You got 3
sorry,
people
Wii.
with trench coats. 2 of them open up with Wii's. The third one,
It's another Wii.
yeah.
Here, let me read this.
Okay.
I want to remind everyone this episode of The Patch is brought to you by Blue Apron. You need to know how to cook. Not only do you feel how you know your way around the kitchen, but cooking at home means eating healthier and saving money instead of ordering expensive takeout again. But where do you start? Blue Apron has you covered. For less than $10 per meal, Blue Apron delivers all the fresh ingredients you need to create home-cooked meals. Just follow the easy step-by-step instructions. Each meal can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. No overwhelming trips to the grocery store, no more sad takeout. No matter your dietary preferences, Blue Apron makes it easy to breeze. I added a word there. No matter your dietary preferences, Blue Apron makes it a breeze to discover and prepare dishes like codfish and chips with aioli right in your own kitchen. Cook with ingredients that you've never used before like watermelon radishes, farro, and purple potatoes, and recipes are between 500 and 700 calories per portion. Delicious and good for you. Right now you can get your first 2 meals for free at blueapron.com/thepatch. That's blueapron.com/thepatch. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. Thank you to Blue Apron for sponsoring The Patch. and for helping me to cook better food at home.
I got to try that out.
It's
I've just
really
been
it's really good.
absolute asshole when it comes to eating food recently.
I found
What does that mean? I've been an asshole when it comes to eating.
That
food.
means I'm driving home. I stress eat a lot,
Uh-huh.
and there's on my way home, on my exit to get to my apartment, is a McDonald's, a Whataburger, a Taco Bell, a Jack in the Box,
Game over.
and a Subway.
So a real waistline fuck you, basically.
Yup. I used to live next to a Chipotle, and I was all right.
So you're saying you went from a nice part of town to a bad part of town? is
I went
what
to
I'm hearing.
Pflugerville.
There's some good places that have McDonald's in them. There's some nice McDonald's out there.
That's true.
Well, there was.
What, did you destroy them all?
Yeah, that was really dark.
No, they're going out of business, man. Well,
McDonald's?
McDonald's going
They're
out
not
of
really
business?
going out of business. They're just seeing less business.
Just like
No, that's
Zelda,
it.
they put out like one bad hamburger, and
McDonald's
now
Right, yeah,
it's
it's
going to go down.
it's
Wait till
when
you
they
get
make,
McDonald's on the new console.
They
See,
burnt the
for
fucking
a company
meatloaf.
like fucking McDonald's, if they make 1 billion instead of 7, that's like a big problem. They're still
That's
making
true, they have a
money,
lot of
but
people
it's
play-
like,
play.
what
Fair
happened?
enough. Fair enough.
Mr. McDonald isn't lining his pockets like he used to.
His white and red striped
So
pockets.
you mean Ronald?
Nope, Mr. McDonald.
You don't want him coming around asking
What
where
else?
his
You want
money
to talk
is.
about
Have a farm
NX,
when
or is
he's
there other
older.
stuff going on?
What
well,
else
I
is
mean,
there
we
to
don't know
say?
anything
We
else
don't know a
about the-
damn
Yeah, that's
thing.
the thing. That's the thing.
I mean,
Is it
I
really-
bookmarked 3 different Nintendo stories here, and they're all the same thing. Nintendo NX launching March 2017. Zelda in 2017 for NX and Wii U. Zelda will be the only playable Nintendo game at E3.
I'm actually kind of
There you
shocked
go.
that they have anything playable at E3 because everybody's pulling out at E3 and then just going to do their own direct shows.
Well, it seems like, yeah, I mean, it seems like the developers are doing that, but you still have like platforms are still there, right? Like Microsoft and
Yeah.
Sony will still be there highlighting their different platforms. I got it. It's a good, very slippery.
I will say I do like the Nintendo Direct style of announcements. Like a lot of stuff. Why? Because it doesn't. I don't have to listen to a bunch of awkward devs and presenters on stage, like making terrible jokes and holding for applause and like I don't know, like the
That's what we're
pre-edited.
based off of.
pretty much, yeah.
I sometimes it's fun and sometimes it can be done well and sometimes it's look Skittles, let's fucking play with the Kinect. Like it can, and then there's like musical numbers where it's like, well, just why? Just all I need is the info.
Skittles are good. Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't want to
man.
be entertained. No foreplay.
No, I'd love to be
foreplay
entertained.
for
It's just
Miles.
not that
Miles
entertaining.
Miles just
That
wants to
was
get down to
confrontational.
fucking.
I just like
brass
it
tacks
feels
for
like
me.
it feels like a lot of the presenters at E3 feel like hosts on Good Morning America style shows. We're just like, ha ha ha, everything's
You're
fine,
mad that
nothing
they
can
feel
go
good
wrong.
about themselves.
No, I feel it just like I just feel like it's fake. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just being a curmudgeon. About
Thanks,
it.
Robert. All right, coming up next on stage.
Yeah.
Mr.
Wow.
McDonald.
Thanks, everyone. You can tell I'm hip because I'm wearing jeans and a blazer.
There you go.
I love the issued clothing they have for any of the presenters, or like, especially the older people. Are like, you want me to? All right, I guess I'll put that on. Sure. And you see how uncomfortable they are in like their fashionable clothes.
No one knows. Here's a fun game. Watch what people that don't normally present try to do with their hands on stage at E3.
Didn't Bungie did that during the Destiny reveal at the PlayStation 4 reveal?
Oh, yeah?
Remember before PS4 came out?
so
Like
long
they
ago.
came out and they were just like,
What-
like there's
where
like
does hands
images
go?
of like 4 dudes standing there with their hands just like kind of awkwardly held up.
I don't know. E3 presentations are fine. I like the Nintendo Directs though. I think they're fun.
Well, that's. I mean, everybody's going to that direct model. It just works better for control of the show. But yeah, it does seem like it's hard to get news all in one place then. But they don't care because it's their news is the only part that's important to them. So
Yeah, they're trying to make themselves stand out and not get lost in that shuffle of all the other news.
pretty soon, E3 is just going to be a Rooster Teeth booth.
Yeah, we're getting there. We had a giant booth at
love
PAX
50
East
by
this
50.
last weekend.
We've
yeah.
never had a booth at E3, have we?
No.
I'll
We
build
ta-
one. Send
years
me. I'll
ago,
make
I
one
don't
out
know
of
why
boxes.
we
would.
wanted to have a booth. So when we first started Rooster Teeth back in like 03, we talked about getting a booth at E3. And we wanted to do is we wanted to get the smallest booth possible. We were like, we wanted to find out if we could get a little 10 by 10 and then just put a couch in it and then have velvet rope all around it and hire a security guard to stand there with like a clipboard and then have people come up and be like, you're not on the list. And then it would just be a place for us to sit down and drink on the show floor. Like it would only be our names on the list. And we could go there and drink whenever we wanted and then just kick everyone else out.
That's
beautiful.
awesome.
And you haven't done
You
this
should do
one?
that now.
Let's talk to Bethany.
Yeah, we still haven't done it. But it was interesting going to PAX this year because, we had a much bigger booth now.
Oh,
And-
dude, that's right. I saw pictures. It
Yeah,
was
and
awesome.
at PAX East, you come down the escalator, like you normally come down
Yeah.
the show floor, and it's like all the big names, and it was like Xbox, PlayStation, Rooster Teeth.
It really was the same size.
It's so wild, man.
Yeah,
I
could
can't
see
wait
it.
for that sort of show floor presentation to just go entirely VR. Like I just
That'd be
pop
cool.
on a headset and I just navigate the floor,
Yeah.
go into booths, all that stuff.
We should do that at our booth. We should set up like a 360 live stream camera where you can just like look around.
Oh,
I feel
yeah,
like
that'd be cool.
live streaming 360 still kind of a new thing.
Well, as part of setting up for the Achievement Hunter versus Funhouse live stream that is going on right now,
And you should go to it right after this,
if you're not already there.
or just in another window.
No one's watching right now.
But the back end options for 360 streaming are already there
Oh,
on
really?
YouTube. Yeah. So all you need is the capability to actually throw it. Oh, look, there it is.
Yeah, look at them.
We have a live stream in our live
We're
stream.
live streaming
Yo,
the live
dog.
stream.
Don't they look like they're having a blast?
Yeah, they're playing Rocket League.
Michael's
yeah, that
talking.
camera's not a great one. We have
And that's just why it's been on.
we
for
have
the
like
last 10
6 different views that you can click on. Like
Oh,
you
really?
can go to that cam. There's like a VR
There you
cam.
go.
Oh, how about
Michael
that?
cam. Yeah, see them all on the side there. You can just like
Oh, Lil
click over there.
J.
See, there's Jack. There's
Wait,
the
who's
Jack
playing?
cam.
Lil J's there. Then who are you?
Oh, no, it's his desk.
Lil J is gonna be that's gonna be Chad from Screw Attack. there
there
he
he
is,
is.
barely on camera.
It's just eking in there.
There he is.
Screw
Look at that
Attack.
guy.
He looks like he
guys.
was distracted.
And then yeah,
What's on top of your car?
a worm.
How did you?
Yeah, I unlocked
Isn't
a worm
that
from worms.
one of the like custom, not custom, the exclusive cars? Like that was the Gears of War.
No,
game, right?
that's a different one.
Okay.
That one just looks like a fucking lawnmower. It's awesome.
Has anybody played the Gears of War 4 beta yet?
Yeah.
Oh, how is it?
I had a chance to play a little bit of it at PAX East.
I mean, it feels pretty Gears of Warsy. I mean, it's multiplayer beta, so it's
Right.
What was funny is I can't remember the last time I played Gears multiplayer. Like I don't think I played any multiplayer in Judgment. So the last time I probably played Gears multiplayer was 3. And when I was at PAX East, I had a chance to play the beta. And it's like I spent like 10 seconds of, wait, how do you run? And then it was like, oh, right, hold on.
Okay,
And then
back.
it's like, it's just all like muscle memory at that
so
point.
funny.
Yeah, and it's
It
just,
feels very familiar. I guess they've added a couple new things, but it's really, if you're familiar with previous incarnations of it, you'll be fit right in with this one. For good or ill. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure they'll add other game types eventually, but at the moment, for the beta test, which usually is a pretty pared down experience.
right. Why would they reveal anything new or secret in the beta? I mean,
you say that, but I mean, that's one way. One, if it's a new game mode, that's kind of the best thing to beta test so it doesn't break at launch. And two, that gets people excited to actually buy the game.
I feel like at this point, like if for a title like this, they're trying. In my opinion, would be they're trying to appeal to their existing core fan base.
Yeah.
It's like you remember Gears, right? Here it is, and it's a
It's
taste.
Marcus
It's the
Phoenix's
same thing.
son.
It's fun.
And it's like
I
what I
remember
said.
that
It's
guy.
like you pick it up and you're like, all of a sudden you remember like, oh, I had a lot of fun with this. and
Right.
Even
I
down to
remember
the
these
marketing,
controls.
it's like, oh, hey, look, here's some really like war-torn looking visuals paired with a very somber, melancholy song. It's like, yeah, Mad World, we remember.
we remember it. It was
God, that was an
to
amazing
be fair, yeah.
commercial.
That was one of the best commercials ever.
That made me like demand like, please somebody, I need an Xbox 360. I saw that late at night on Adult Swim. I was like, what is this game?
At the time, I was not a huge fan of that commercial, but I thought it was fine. But I thought that at the time EA was launching Battlefield Bad Company, and they had a bunch of Bad Company parodies of other video game tropes.
Yeah.
And they had their parody called Bad World.
Yeah.
Which is a parody of the Mad World commercial, which I really liked. It
was funny.
But I feel like that was the interesting thing about that series. Like Bad Company launched, and it was one thing. And then when Bad Company 2 came out, it was totally
Yeah, it was
different.
I never
Absolutely
actually played
different
either
game.
of them, but I had a lot of
That
friends
Company 2
that
was
played it.
a lot of fun. That's probably the Battlefield game I played the most.
I mean,
Me
did
too.
you play multiplayer and single player, or
Yes,
just multiplayer?
I did.
Because I remember the multiplayer from 1 pretty distinctly. I don't remember Bad Company 2.
Bad
Did it have a
Company 2.
story?
I think
Yeah, it had a great story.
I mean, it was those,
Well,
the same
it-
misfit guys again, right? Like from Bad Company 1.
Yes, it was. But I mean, like it was still comparatively to Battlefield games. It was a really good story. Like Battlefield games isn't. The story just never sticks with me.
Sure.
Like
Oh, the more recent one was actually pretty decent.
4?
No.
Hardline.
Hardline.
Oh.
It actually had kind of a story to it, like a heisty kind of story.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like with games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, I'm not going to that for
Yeah.
the story.
Well, Call of Duty is big on story, or at least the older ones, or the Modern Warfare ones,
yeah.
were really like. I mean, Soap and Price and all them were awesome. Like they had a lot of great characters that they worked with over a long time.
So speaking of
I
Call of
thought-
Duty, there was some Call of Duty news this week.
Yeah, there was.
Oh, that's right. Was it Infinite Wars?
Infinite Warfare.
Yeah,
Infinite
starring
Warfare.
Or is it Infinity
Tony Stark,
Warfare?
Captain America.
That's what the
Thanos.
title looks like.
That was the leaked. That was the leaked screenshot from the store. Was that what gave it away?
Thanks, Michael McWhedon, for noticing that and screenshotting.
Yeah, we're
it.
getting Infinite Warfare from Infinity Ward.
So I've heard conflicting thoughts on this. I've heard speculation that Infinite Warfare is the next Call of Duty game. I've also heard speculation that it's a remastering of all the previous Modern Warfare games.
Yeah,
would make
I
more sense
saw
with the
that.
title.
Someone apparently there was a leaked image of like the announcement of Infinite Warfare and stuff like that, and it says, will come with Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare remastered. Which, if that's a real thing, I will play the hell out of it. That's my
they have
favorite
mentioned that.
game.
I think it's been confirmed that that's the next title, and it's sci-fi.
I mean, people have certainly learned that HD remakes make a fuck ton of money.
Yeah, they do.
Nobody has to make a new
Depends on
game
the
anymore.
game. You remake a shit game.
Final Fantasy,
Call of Duty 4.
Gears, oh god, The Last of Us.
Last of Us.
Jack and Daxter. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's just like, yeah, no, we'll do that. We'll
Yeah.
totally because it's you have those games. Like I bought the shit out of Combat Evolved Anniversary. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That
I was
was
so
great.
quick to pick that up, man.
I wonder how long before we start seeing. Well, I mean, I guess this would be the first real example of Call of Duty doing that. I mean, but I was thinking things like Super Mario Brothers. Why has there never been a remaster of the original?
Well, I mean, Nintendo, they don't seem to. For a company that definitely has its traditions, like with the way that the recent Zelda games have all played out, and a lot of the more like open world Mario games like Galaxy 2, 64. For a company that has a lot of traditional things that it falls back on, they also seem to love trying new stuff. The Wii, the Wii U, whatever the hell the NX is going to be, at least from a hardware point of view, maybe not necessarily a software point of view, but I mean, look at the two screens on the DS when that came out. People are like, what? And it's cool. I really dig it. And even if it's like, it's not super pertinent to a lot of games, I do find myself really enjoying the second screen of the Wii U, even if it's just for inventory management. It's kind of cool. They try new stuff, and it's not always the best, and sometimes it comes across as super fucking gimmicky, but
Sometimes it works really well.
Yeah,
I mean,
sometimes it works really well.
They
It's
take
like-
risks, but they do it well, usually.
Usually.
Yeah.
There's still some things that I don't understand that they just don't get. Like when Splatoon launched, and maybe still, I haven't played it in a long time. Like there was no chat. Like this was a game, Nintendo, which is very well known for couch co-op type games. Splatoon was a game that didn't really have the full multiplayer experience via split screen. You could do 2 players, but that really wasn't a good taste of what the actual gameplay is while playing online. So they make this game that's primarily focused on online gameplay, and then there's no chat function.
That makes sense to me though for a Nintendo. I mean,
For Nintendo going for the family-friendly thing,
Right.
sure, but at the same time, it's like, if you're going to have a game like that focuses on teamwork and gameplay, or team gameplay like that, you need some way to communicate with one another.
I did not want to hear a squid kid tell me where they were going to stick their tentacles.
It's true. Do they even have hardware to support that? I mean, is there a microphone?
There's a microphone on the tablet.
Is there? Okay.
They have it in Mario Kart 8.
Oh.
I don't know why it's not in Splatoon. It's
Hentai.
weird.
It's true, yeah.
Well, I had
In fucking Splatoon, they
that's
give you the
your
ability
fallback
to draw and
every
post
time.
stuff. It's like they give you the ability to do a lot of stuff without censorship. For whatever reason, they just didn't include that. They may have added that since. I don't know. But.
When I was at PAX East, this person came by the booth and he was in a Splatoon cosplay. And I was like, that's pretty good. Are you a squid or are you a kid?
Oh yeah, I was with you.
And he goes, yes. And I was like, you win. That is the correct answer.
Gus literally goes like this. He literally goes, correct.
That's so great, man. That's so funny.
But that was a really good game. I played the hell out of Splatoon for like a solid month probably, but yeah, then I put it down. I just haven't gone back.
The
to
thing,
it.
like going back to the whole a bad game is bad forever. Like, yes, I hear that they have patched and fixed a bunch of things for Splatoon since launch. I played it for a while. I was like, this sucks. I can't talk with anybody. We were in PlayStation 4 party chat talking with each other so we could play, and I'm like, I'm tired of doing this. And work got in the way. I stopped playing it, and I'm just like,
So you're a big talker then in multiplayer games.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm not.
So one of the games that I have, I based on the amount of hours that I've played it and how enthusiastic I am to play this game, I think it's safe to say that Rainbow Six Siege is my favorite game on the PlayStation 4 right now.
Really? Okay.
And that's a big talking. You have to talk.
I
Absolutely, yeah.
absolutely adore games that require you to work together as a team because there's so many games out there. And I'm not saying all the time.
Siege.
Like, it's fun to go through and just like run and gun in Call of Duty or Titanfall or whatever.
The hell's
but
that guy?
like when Left 4 Dead came out, holy fucking wait, is that me?
We're
Is that
speaking-
my stream?
Is that right?
God damn it!
Wow.
Yeah, that's me.
Hey, there he
They were
is.
quick.
That's pretty amazing.
I Jesus,
Pro
good find,
streamer set up
broadcast. I just bought the fucking PlayStation camera, and I was like, oh, this will just be my streaming setup. I normally don't like the webcam. Anyways, shut up, Miles. I love games that require you to work together. I don't know. There's so many, like most gaming experiences these days, you don't play with a headset because most people are annoying and you don't want to hear them talk. But Siege reminds me of back when Xbox Live first came out. Like, I was not a PC gamer growing up. I had consoles. When Xbox Live came out, that was my first introduction to anything remotely close to like PC gaming online. And at that time, I remember playing Halo 2, and people forget that like zombies, which is a huge, or infection, whatever it's called, huge gameplay in Halo right now, that was just made by people who said, hey guys, that was a good round. I made a custom game called Zombies. You can join my party if you want to play. People would go, okay. They get together and they say, all right, so one person's going to be a zombie. Choose green team. Everybody else, choose red team. All right, if you get killed by zombies, only use your sword. When you die, please switch over to green team.
It was all honor system.
And it was 100% honor system. And there is no way in hell that Joe Schmo would be able to organize something like that in any multiplayer game today. The community's changed. It's changed over the years. At least on console, in my opinion, unless you're like someone like us who can say, hey, Twitter followers, I want to try this thing. Or, you have a group of friends. Like, it's very rare that you're going to be able to find enough people that will cooperate, hang out long enough for you to fucking explain the rules, blah, 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 blah. I love the cooperative aspect of Rainbow Six Siege. It's why I love Left 4 Dead. It's why I was super into Counter-Strike. I played on tactical servers all the time when I was younger. Yeah, I don't know.
It's rare that I'll bust out the headset and like really communicate. I think I did that a lot in Last of Us when I was playing with friends.
Oh yeah,
that's another big one. You need to talk.
Yeah. And then before that, like when I would raid in World of Warcraft, I would fight to not have to talk. But it's like you have to, even if you don't talk, you need to at least listen. So it's like, okay, it's like I'll put the headset on and I'll listen. And it's like every now and then, because of the kind of character I played, it's like, in this one fight, I will talk. Because I need to.
I will grace you with my words this one time.
Speaking of raids, that's probably one of the reasons I love the raids in Destiny. I mean, aside from the fact that was actually good gameplay and not just the same thing over and over again. It's like, you got to talk if you're going up against orcs.
Absolutely.
Jesus,
Unless
man.
you got Panton, in which case you just let him do it.
The downside for talking for me is that my wife's always around and that she starts to laugh at me. During one of the Naxxramas raid bosses, when I had to talk in World of Warcraft, I would have to call out when one of the bosses' bone shield was down. That's the exact reaction my wife had anytime I said his bone shield is down.
Yeah.
Like, I wish she would just start laughing. I'd be like, "You're not making this any easier."
No,
I just need to let the other guys know.
And I get that too. Like, I'm not always like, sometimes if I'm not playing with my group of friends, like I just get on Rainbow Six. I just don't feel like talking. And it's funny, you can immediately identify in that game if somebody is worthwhile having on your team or not. Like if I'm not playing with my headset, I will always, as a defender, choose Rook. His ability is he drops a container of armor that makes everybody strong. I will choose him because immediately if the other team has headsets, they'll be like, oh, we got a rando in here. I immediately spawn, I do my job, I place on my armor for everybody, and they go, all right, he knows what he's doing. He's good. I'm like, yeah, that's right. You can trust me.
I'm here for you.
You know
the one thing that my class can do.
Yeah. Now, excuse me while I blow a hole through this wall and poke my gun out of it.
Let me watch you put that armor on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Buckle it over your head. So I've never been on the patch before. So forgive me if we've gone over something like this before. It's a really vague thing. Like Ashley was like, "Hey, have some topics to talk about or whatever." So yeah, I really enjoy like cooperative gameplay in multiplayer games. That's something that I think is really cool that video games bring to the table. What is it about video games that you enjoy as either like a form of entertainment or an art form? Like, what is something that you think is really special that video games have that you are just all about?
Let me read this, and then we'll all answer that question. That's a
time to
teaser.
Segue.
Yeah, so you guys think. Want to remind everyone, this episode of The Patch is also brought to you by MeUndies. Whether you're wearing a suit or sweats, you spend almost 24 hours a day in your underwear. But instead of making a statement like Superman's tights under his everyday clothes, your underwear is probably boring. MeUndies is here to change that. You check? Yours are boring. Yep, boring.
Yeah, mine are just
Every pair of MeUndies is made from sustainably sourced modal, a fabric that's twice as soft as cotton. Nothing can describe the fit and feel of MeUndies, but once you try them on, you'll understand why they're called the world's most comfortable underwear. And if you don't love your first pair of MeUndies, they're free. No questions asked. MeUndies has dozens of styles and limited edition prints to help you make a statement with your underwear, whether anyone can see them or not. Shipping is free in the US and Canada, and you can save up to $8 a pair with MeUndies subscription plan. Get a subscription or a single pair. Get 20% off your first order when you go to MeUndies.com/thepatch. That's MeUndies.com/thepatch for 20% off your first order. MeUndies.com/thepatch. Thank you to MeUndies for making comfortable underwear that I wear every day.
They are very, very comfortable.
I love them. All right, so did you guys come up with your answer?
Yes.
Sure.
So, for me, video gaming, and I know it sounds nerdy, but who cares about that at this point?
You're on a podcast
use
about
it.
video games.
I
Hold on,
like
just
games.
lower your bone shield. Tell us all about it.
I like games where you can have kind of a sense of role playing while you're doing it. Like, one of my favorite games ever was Papers, Please.
Really?
I fucking love
Way to
that
suck
game.
up the
What is
Gus.
it you like about Papers, Please?
Like, because I can sit there and you get into the mindset while you're doing it of like, fuck you, why the hell are you coming here with wrong shit? Like, you knew you were gonna get thrown
That's
in.
the
That's
mindset
amazing.
you want,
Right,
though?
yeah,
Like,
and like I play games like that, and then like sometimes I'll get into other games where I'm playing Halo. When I was playing Halo Reach, there were certain maps I'd really get into just assassinating people and like hiding out, and I was like, yeah, they're fucking terrified of me. Like, I'm scary.
So you're super. You get immersed.
I
in
really
the,
get into
the
it.
player
and I'm
character.
Like, I am this person right now in this game.
Do you have a
Love-
preference over mute protagonists and protagonists that talk?
Mute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like mute because then I can be that person.
You are Gordon Freeman.
Yeah, exactly. I loved games like that where I was just like, he's not saying anything, but here's what I would say.
I remember I was really nervous when they gave Isaac Clarke a voice in Dead Space 2 because I love Dead Space, and I'm like, why are they gonna give this guy a voice? Like, no, he's the mute like surrogate for your consciousness. Then what was great about Isaac when he finally did speak was that he spoke everything I was thinking all the time.
Yeah.
Which was, Isaac, we need you to go down into the basement of blood and find this corpse. And his response is, fuck no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, if you don't, we'll die. All right. They did a great job of capturing, like, yeah, no, that's
For
that's
me,
pretty
that
much how
was
I feel.
Fallout 4. They added in voice to Fallout 4, and I wasn't super happy about that because I did that with Fallout 3. I played it and like, yeah, he would say a certain thing, like you could click on a certain thing,
There's a
but
lot
then you would
more variety.
say it in your own way.
Your
you know,
own
like-
voice, your inner voice would actually be the one delivering the
Exactly.
dialogue.
And so
yeah.
when they added that in Fallout 4, I just was not a big fan of it. Like,
Yeah, a friend of mine fell out of Fallout 4. I can't remember who it was right now. I'm sorry. But the
Good
version for
friend.
them was broken when there's a point where they were supporting the Railroad storyline, and then there was another thing going on with the is it called the Syndicate? Or no,
The Institute.
The Institute. Thank you. The Institute storyline. Essentially, there was something where this. Oh, it was Cole. It was Cole. Cole had been very nice to androids and robots throughout that game. Then there was essentially a mission where it was, in order to progress this particular storyline, you have to kill a robot or an android or something. And he was like, no, my character would never do that. But then he could not finish this particular storyline unless he did that.
Yeah.
And there was kind of like this, he can't get the ending he wants and do this other thing. And it was like these two conflicting storylines where neither of them really represented how he felt his character would behave and gave him the option to act out in a way that felt appropriate.
I had a
And that's
moment
what
like
broke it.
that where it wasn't robots for me, but my showdown came between, I think it was the Minutemen and the Institute, and it was like the Institute's like, go, we're trying to kidnap this guy from
Oh,
from a
shit,
house,
yeah, I know
and
what
the
you're
Minutemen have it surrounded. And I'm like, hey, Minuteman, just get out of here. Let him
Mm-hmm.
get away with it. They're like, no, we're not getting away. We're gonna fight. And the Syndicate, the Syndicate, you're like, or the Institute.
The Institute.
Yeah, you fucked me up. The Institute. You're like, hey, why don't you just leave this guy and take off? They're like, no, we're taking this guy. You're like, all right, who am I gonna shoot in the head?
when you
It's
gotta
true.
die.
If you don't pass that speech thing right there with the Minutemen, you're fucked.
Yeah, I was-
You've got nothing.
I had to go out and be like, you're not leaving? No. All right.
Oh man.
Can you maybe at least look that way? All right.
I was happy
Just
with
don't make eye
no
contact.
ending in that game. None of them I was happy with.
No, the endings of that
Railroad
were really
Institute
bad.
or Brotherhood.
I thought
I didn't finish it.
the railroad ending I was happy with. I like
Yeah?
the railroad ending. Yeah.
I went Institute, but like I normally like the Brotherhood. Like the Brotherhood and Fallout 3 were very
They
likable.
were very much the protagonists. of
right.
Fallout
Like
3, I would
they
say.
were the good guys. You know.
They were the
But that wasn't
fuck-
always the case, though. Like in
Yeah.
the original Fallout games, they were a little more ambiguous.
Yeah.
and more
They were
gray.
fucking dickheads in Fallout 4. I fucking hated those
like,
guys.
Elder Maxis, I was like, go fucking die.
They-
I hate.
I think they did a good job with his face. 'Cause he just wanted to punch it anytime I saw
He
him.
had like the shitty haircut where it was like really
They're
short,
like,
and there's like
fuck you.
That's all right. It gave you a great opportunity for escapism because you just shoot him in the face if you felt like it. Then you just load the game.
well,
I
yeah,
would-
but
I
then
did
it's
that
not
all the
real.
time.
It's like
I
I
would-
killed you a minute ago.
I would do that in like old Grand Theft Auto games and stuff. It's like, all right, well, I'm done for the day. Well, I'm gonna save, go on a killing spree, and then quit without
You
saving.
don't know, but 5 minutes ago I rubbed my balls on your dead face.
Jesus
And then I
Christ,
deleted that
Haywood.
world.
In an alternate universe.
You load a save and the character's like,
I
feel weird. I feel
You're
like-
like, so odd.
why is there a pube in my mouth?
just vanishes like Marty McFly.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the things that was kind of cool about Undertale, right? Was it would remember shit you did in previous playthroughs. Like,
Oh wait, what?
Yeah, no.
I've never played it because I'm not a super turn-based guy, but I've heard nothing but great things about this game.
It would remember things from previous saves. So if you went through it and then went through it again, it was like, I have the weirdest feeling that you killed me before.
That's some Kojima shit right there.
I think
That's
even-
some
even-
weird outside the box shit.
Even if you deleted the save,
yeah.
like
That's nerve wracking.
That's wild.
Your decisions followed you forever.
That's very cool. That's really cool.
And I think, my favorite thing about video games is just escapism. It's the same reason I read a lot of books and watch TV.
You can't go on a killing spree
I
in the
can't go
AH
on a-
office.
I don't, I don't want to. But in a video
Ryan
game,
kills in a game. He just sits there like,
thank God I got that out. Whew. All right, time to go home. So that's if I typically rail against games that have very poor story, then that's why. It's because that's what I go to it for, is to actually hear a story and go somewhere different and experience something that I can't experience in normal life. That's again also why I'm excited about VR, is because even more opportunity for immersiveness in this alternate reality. Not that I have any problem with this reality,
Right.
but come on, there's no spaceships here that I can get in.
has anybody tried out VR porn yet?
my
Carrie.
friend has.
Your friend?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Carrie did.
Oh.
Yeah?
He can't get a high enough quality video. That he showed it to us. We put it on. What's really great is it's this video of the dude's lying down on the bed and this chick's just going to town on his dick. If you turn around, if you know the problem with 360-degree video where it's like if you look down at the ground, there's just kind of
Yeah,
nothing. If you look any farther past your shoulders, there's just oblivion and nothingness behind you. He talked about it's like when you're looking at porn and like you're jerking it and maybe you finish and then the video ends and you're just left with a blank black screen and all you see is your own pathetic reflection. It's like you finish, you're like, oh yeah, VR porn, VR
This
porn.
is you.
Oh, there's nothing.
It's like
It turns
I
on your
am nothing.
webcam and it's like, this is what you looked like when you did that.
My friend
That
said
was someone's daughter.
my friend said the scale to him was all wrong. He said like the humans are all
That
way
dick was
bigger
way
than
too
they
big.
He said the humans are all like bigger than they should be. You know what I mean?
That's interesting.
That's what I like. Because if you don't get the scale exactly right, then you're like, what the fuck is this?
See,
the
I
bone
was-
shield goes down.
Bone shield's just
Sure,
gone.
Yeah, it just goes away. I was curious to try it, but I'm not going to do it with company property. Like, I'm not going to
You're a
take.
good man.
I'm not going to take that home and be like, all right, time to
mine's
look
at home, I'm ready.
Someone's gonna wear this tomorrow, but tonight it's all me. Nah, it just feels weird. Also, when you got kids that are sneaky, it's like, I don't want to put this on.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the
then
world
you
goes
blindfold
away, and then
yourself.
take it off, and then my son's like, Daddy, what did that
Oh my
mean?
God! Oh Jesus!
Teach
it's
me how
funny
to
you
do
say
that.
the world.
You don't
It's
wanna
funny
do
that you
that.
describe it as the world going away because it really is what it feels like. Like I went. Carrie got the Vive. He invited myself and Gray over to check it out and play around with
watch
it.
porn, got it.
And we looked at that and we went, ha! Leave the room.
Did he take the controller and start?
no.
Okay, good.
Did a hand
It's
job
got
on
the
the edge of the
hole,
monitor.
right?
I was like, when I first heard VR, like I'd seen the Oculus like years ago, and I'm thinking, cool. I'm sure this is gonna be really impressive tech. It'll be there in another couple of decades. It'll be a neat little fad. I played in Google Tilt Brush, and I lost my goddamn mind.
Yup.
And whenever you take that thing off, it really does feel like you are coming from another place, and now you're back.
Your brain
in the real
accepts
world.
it instantly, like the vibe.
very
you put it
weird.
on and you're like, there's no adjustment. You're just like straight in.
Yeah, I caved. I went ahead and ordered one.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna build a PC to play it.
You didn't have a PC for it
I
yet?
don't know.
Yeah.
I'm talking with Alice right now. I want this. Like as soon as I took it off, I was like, I need to show this to my parents. Like I gave my mom, when I got my PS3, I had Flower, which is like my mom when I was really, really little would play like simple platformers with me, but she never got past that. Flower, you just control it by tilting the controller. It's just pretty pedals and the wind. And
Right.
she played through that entire game, and she told me, she was like, this is so funny because I couldn't even like imagine something like this being a form of entertainment as a kid because nothing like this existed. You know, it's like if we spend all of our time talking about like how we'll colonize other galaxies or something. If we spent all of our time and money trying to go to other planets, and then one day just an interdimensional portal opened up, and people were like, "Oh, you can just go to another dimension." It's like, whoa, we didn't know that was a possibility.
Right.
Shit, whoa.
And Vive is perfect for that, like the role playing thing I was talking about. Like imagine if there was a Vive Papers, Please, like in the
Oh,
booth
yeah,
and
that'd be
you're
sweet.
doing shit
Yeah.
around. Like,
Really?
oh my god, you would not play that,
That sounds like the best game ever.
right? It
Yeah.
sounds so
You
awesome.
want to put on a VR headset to go in a tiny box
Yeah.
with a stamp.
I wouldn't necessarily
think
want
about
that.
just being like, you take the stamp, you stamp something, you just take the password, you're like, fuck you, like throw it back at him. I would absolutely do.
There's something very satisfying about throwing things in VR.
Right.
I was
Don't need this.
When I visited the Grumps a few months ago, they gave me the golf demo, and after I hit one ball in, then all I wanted to do was see how far I could throw the golf club, and like see how it interacted with things. Like you just want to,
Physics
like you
works
guys did it
so
in
well.
the first episode of VR the Champions with
Job Simulator.
Job
Yeah.
Simulator. You immediately wanted to test: did the developers think of this? Did they think of this? Did they think of this? And all the best games, they thought of that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like hover junkers. If you shoot yourself in the face, you do damage to yourself.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, this is
this
is me discovering this. You just kind of nom on a donut out of the
An
trash and then
old
you vomit.
It's hilarious, and it's very, very clever.
Don't eat trash, kids.
So
Yeah.
one of the things that blew my mind that I'd never considered, there's a game in the is it the Valve Laboratory?
The lab.
The lab.
It's called the lab.
Which
yeah.
the first thing I ever saw on the Vive was the robot repair thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's-
yeah,
I don't want to
that's a
spoil
great
that.
demo.
First
Sure.
off, the writers over at Valve continue to just blow me away.
They blow you, huh?
I wish, man. I would blow them. They are
Well, that's
fantastic
the
at what they
secret
do.
room of the lab.
Anyways, the
so you
robot
got
repair thing.
the catapult thing, the
was the
longbow
catapult thing,
thing,
there was,
the photogrammetry.
Oh man, I completely lost my. You threw in blowjobs, and I completely lost my train of thought.
There's the
My
one
bone
where you're
shield's down.
the ship.
The ship. Thank you.
Okay,
thank
the
you. Thank
ship,
you.
okay.
So there's
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
there's a game in there. Just imagine like Space Invaders, right? Where you pilot a little spaceship, you shoot at aliens. That's it. You just point it in the direction of the bad guy, and the ship will automatically fire and destroy it. But unlike most games where you are the character, like there's like a bunch of first-person shooter games, and there's a bunch of shit where like you are the character. This was you're playing with the ship. You can pick up the ship. You can look at the ship. It makes cool sounds. And I realized I never even once thought about the possibility of virtual toys, where
yeah.
you can just say, "Hey, I want my controller to look like a T-Rex." And your little kid now gets a little T-Rex. You press the button, it roars, a breeze fire. And I want this controller to be a spaceman. Boop. You just load in those little preset things, and now you can just play.
It's like
And I was-
it's
I
like
couldn't
the
even
augmented
that.
reality cards that came with what was it? The Wii U?
they came with the 3DS.
3DS.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Okay.
little augmented reality. It's like the same kind of thing, right? Where
Right, but
just
if you
have-
could like
the
do
PSI
a
had
thing
something
with
like
it,
that
like if
too,
you
right?
had a little Mario, and if you press the trigger, he shoots a fireball.
Yeah.
If you press this, he goes wahoo! It's like fuck.
Or-
This is a toy at
Imagine
this point.
if that's what your amiibos were. If they were just like a little circular platform. And it's like you looked at them with a headset or virtual reality or augmented reality, and then like they came to life and they were animated and made all the noises.
I have immediately have now found myself trying to think of like how do we make this work in VR? Like I did an archery game, I did Hover Junkers, the shooter game. The thing I want is a sword fighting game. But here's the thing: the problem with that right now is that there's no feedback for when your sword clashes with another sword.
true.
There's no physical feedback there, and the feedback in some of these games is great. Just like the tiniest little vibration.
Yeah.
gives
Also, you should look
it
at a
feels
game
so
called
right.
Raw Data.
Raw Data. I'll check that out.
It's got sword fighting in it. It's like a future laser sword kind of thing. But yeah, that is an issue. Is the actual feedback? There isn't really anything other than a vibration. in the
Right
sword.
now, the only idea that I could come up with to make like a PvP sword fighting game is if, say that your swords, you have two swords, they're kind of like lightsaber things. As soon as your sword makes contact with another sword, both swords shatter. Like they cancel each other out, and you have to quickly like put it behind your back and recharge it. So then that gets rid of like, it makes sense why you're not feeling anything because, oh, the blade's gone now. Quickly reset and try and like poke the other. It's more like a rapier fencing kind of style. But it's like, I don't know, like now all I do is like, all I can think about is like, fuck, how would this work? How would that work? How do we make this? Who's going to do that? That's incredible. And that's why I caved
wonder
and
how
threw
long it's gonna
$800
take.
at that.
Because I don't think it will be very long until eventually there are something you can put on your feet that will read on the sensors as well.
Someone already did
A
that.
vest, like eventually your full body will be.
I think
VR,
I
because
mentioned
right now
it
it's
last
just your
week.
hands and head.
Someone strapped an extra pair of the Vive controllers to their feet and incorporated it into Maximum VR.
Yeah. So you can kick shit.
So you have feet too.
Wow.
Yeah, Maximum VR is a monster game where you're just a giant monster trying to
Godzilla.
destroy
Oh,
a
that's
city.
amazing.
Look out for a future VR the Champions episode.
That's a great episode.
Little
We
teaser
almost
there.
broke the vibe twice.
Yes. And I think you headbutted a table.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Amazing. All right, here, let me read this last thing. Can you put that up there?
Make it
in
prominent.
place of
I will
Ryan's
even take
stinky
my feet down.
Want to remind everyone this episode of The
that,
Patch
my
is
camera.
also brought to you by Pro Flowers. Mom has always been an expert on everything. Cooking, relationship advice, fixing your cuts and bruises. There you go. The one thing you can't go to her for is advice on what to get her for Mother's Day. Not to worry, you'll look like an expert on Mother's Day when you use Pro Flowers. Get Mom 100 blooms with a free glass vase for $19.99 plus shipping and handling, or make her day extra special Upgrade to a premium vase and add gourmet chocolates for just $9.99 more. Go to proflowers.com today and use code the patch. ProFlowers takes the guesswork out of sending mom, grandma, or wife the perfect Mother's Day gift. Thanks, Ryan. Can't beat the price and convenience. ProFlowers takes care of the details. Here's the only way to get 100 blooms with a free glass vase starting at $19.99. Visit proflowers.com, click the blue microphone in the top right corner, and type in the patch. That's ProFlowers. Click on the microphone, type in the patch. Remember, Mother's Day is next week. Order today. This offer expires Friday at midnight.
Is it next week?
It's next week.
I'm unprepared.
Oh, fuck yeah.
There you go. There's your answer. It's on the screen
ProFlowers.
right now.
And I have to do it for, my mother and then my wife because the kids are too young. And that's the important one.
If you let them slack off now, they're never going to learn.
You just put them in the woods and hope they come back with flowers.
Hansel and, yeah, that's a good idea.
Make it a game.
Yeah.
There you go. Whoever gets the most flowers, daddy loves more. Mm-hmm. There you go.
And gets to eat tonight.
Ooh, there you Okay, wow.
Eating children.
Maybe even flowers.
All right. Thank you, ProFlowers.
Yeah.
Back over here. You can put your feet back up. All right.
I'm good.
So I've been. Have you had a chance? You were talking about like multiplayer games that we're really into and voice chat and everything earlier. Have you had a chance to play Overwatch yet?
No. I would like to, though.
The beta's over, right?
Beta is over. I think now the only remaining beta is if you like pre-order it, and you can play it. I think next week.
Looks cool.
Starting next Thursday or Friday.
Tuesday.
I thought it was May 5th when it started. Closed beta starts on
This is like
Tuesday.
0 for 3.
Bam.
Fuck yeah. it's a lot of fun. I had a
That's
chance
awesome.
I had a chance to play that also at PAX East. So I'd played it on the PC previously, but at PAX East I had a chance to play it on the Xbox One. And that game's a lot of fun. I'm really looking
Great.
forward to that game.
That was the biggest thing
game
at PAX
launching.
East.
Yeah.
Overwatch, like by far.
Yeah.
It was Overwatch. Battleborn had a big thing going on. Surprisingly, Ark had a big
Really?
thing. Yeah.
wonder
Ark
if they're
Survival
done
Evolved.
getting-
No, that giant T-Rex. People were like sitting up on a T-Rex and they'd take pictures of you up
Well,
there.
if you see a giant T-Rex, you're going to go towards the giant
Yeah,
Yeah, take a picture of
absolutely.
it.
And Overwatch had that Uberwatch thing where you could like get in a super decked out car.
Yeah.
That was like
Oh, that was
yeah.
so awesome.
What?
I saw
They were-
that.
they were
the
themed-
tracer car.
there was a Tracer car, there was a Diva
it
car,
just a
and
giant
there was a
butt?
Soldier 76 car. It was like a Lamborghini, a 3-wheel car, and then like a big Ford F650. Except the big truck, one of the trucks got into a fender bender. I don't know if you heard
Oh,
about that.
really? I saw the truck pull up and
Yeah.
drop someone out. And I was like,
The spoiler,
look at it.
there were multiple ones of each car.
oh.
One time I was walking out and I saw the two Divas pull up at the same time. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
There's two of them.
Oh, man.
It broke the illusion.
But I guess after the Gearbox panel, Randy Pitchford was walking out of the convention center, and he tweeted a photo of the Ford one of the Uber watches just like hitting a.
Well, it definitely couldn't
Another
see what the
car.
hell it was doing.
it was like a monster truck.
yeah, it was
Good Lord.
huge, dude. It was ridiculous.
It's nuts.
But I think that's another game you should keep your eye
I
out
definitely
on.
want to check it out, yeah.
Yeah.
It's I mean they do and I talk about this all the time. They do such a good job differentiating all of the different characters
That's
and
cool.
giving them personality. This is pathetic, and I mentioned this last week. I'm so excited for Overwatch that I started playing Heroes of the Storm again.
Which one's that? Is that the
It's
one?
it's like their
the
MOBA.
Blizzard. Yeah, yeah.
Because one of the Overwatch characters is playable
Oh
in
my
Heroes of the
gosh.
Storm.
That's precious, Gus.
Yeah, so-
Backstory.
yeah, I've just been
Dude,
playing tons of Heroes of
Did
the
you
Storm.
see? Speaking of like all the giant setups they had at PAX and everything, did you see the Quantum Break thing they had
Oh,
going on with
yeah.
all the cameras?
Yeah.
They had like 20 cameras or so just set around in like a 180 arc.
so they
bullet
do like
time
the
thing.
Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would stand in the
time,
middle, and then like someone would jump up and like punch at them, and then they take that picture that second, so it could spin around. You could
Oh,
see the
that's
whole
cool.
like frozen in time
That's
thing.
fun. Whoever
I
had
saw
that
that, I
idea
was
is
like,
great.
I will never be able to get in there to do that in this line, but it's awesome looking.
Then if we took every webcam and GoPro in the company, we could build one.
Like all different resolutions and sizes. and
As it moves around, it's like it turns like black and white at one point. It's like
it's like, wow, it looks really good. No, it looks really bad. No, okay, no, it looks great.
it'll look like you're like fractured in time. It'll be perfect.
There you go.
Oh,
yeah, see, there
we'll
you
keep to
go.
the theme.
Oh, speaking of Quantum Break, it's an interesting segue since we haven't talked about Quantum Break in a while. I read an article. I forget if it was on who it was. I think it might have been on Kotaku. It was on Kotaku.
Is
Yeah.
it about the fact that Sean Ashmore will basically respond to any tweet with Quantum Break in it right now?
Yeah.
Well, there was a Kotaku article written by Mike Fahey talking about how all of the product placement in Quantum Break was killing him. And,
Really?
Yeah, and he's right. This is something we never talked about when the game came out, was how obvious it was, like all of the different product placement. Like obviously there's a bunch of Microsoft products. Like everyone uses a Windows phone. Everyone has like Surface tablets.
Are we
or
talking like
Windows
House of
PCs.
Cards level? is that a PS Vita? Like,
No, not
product placement?
Not even.
No.
Just like it's ubiquitous. Like it's the
Wow.
only thing in the universe. Everyone also drives a Nissan.
Yes.
See,
Wow.
I completely just that I don't even notice that stuff.
I was
I-
blind to
I
it until
think-
someone told me.
I've been we largely have been raised in a world where they tried to do that so much that now it's just like
noise.
part of the background
There
noise.
was,
of
there was
everything.
even like Nissan billboards in the game.
Yes, there was.
Like
I don't
as
even
you're
see
running around,
billboards.
oh,
Like
look,
none
yeah.
of that registers at all.
That I noticed. That's
Yeah.
what tipped me off to it. I was like, oh, I guess they're like sponsoring or like product placement.
Yeah,
place.
like,
and
I
then in the shows, I was like, he's in the Nissan being chased by Nissans. Like,
Early in the game, like when you first, like the first cutscene, like when you arrive at the college, like you get out of a cab, and I was like, that's weird. That's a Nissan Leaf taxi cab. And then it's like, oh, now he's getting into another Nissan, and they're being chased by a Nissan Rogue.
Yeah.
Okay, it's everywhere. Yeah,
Wow.
it was all over the place.
The first game I noticed that in was Guitar Hero 3. There's one
Oh,
there's
yeah.
one level where it's like I think you're shooting a music video and in the background you can see movie posters for things and it was just like blatant advertisement for whoever wanted it at that time. I think they switched it out too at some point. Like there was an update and then like the ad changed to a different ad at one point. I thought.
There's
I don't know. Could be wrong.
several of those games do have back ends to actually swap out the advertisements for more topical things. Because otherwise it makes no sense. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, you get your one shot at this movie. That movie came out 7 years ago, but
Yeah.
the ad's still in the game.
I remember that was a big controversy back like in 03, maybe 02, when like Xbox Live and these online services were first launching because these game developers were building those back-end hooks to be able to deliver and then update advertising. I think one of them was called, like EA's service was called Massive. I want to say.
That
I
sounds
might-
familiar.
I might be wrong about that. I remember people were really worried about how that was going to negatively affect games if you had to sit through a commercial or if, what level of how much would it get in the way of the actual
Right.
gameplay. And I think for the most part, it's been okay. Sometimes it's a little over the top.
Yeah, I've never run into anything that's like horrible. It's sometimes annoying. Like it might take you out of it for a second, but I've never run into anything super terrible.
It's yeah, I guess the trick is keeping it appropriate to the world that it's in.
Yeah.
So you don't break the immersion trying to run your ad.
Yeah, if suddenly like Alex Vance went up to Gordon and was like, Gordon, you're looking bad. Here, drink this Mountain Dew Live Wire. Then it'd be
but
like,
as she holds it, she like turns it so the
Booker
like,
catch.
Oh, icy hot? Why do I need this?
I do remember one of the weirder ones. I think it was in Rainbow Six Vegas. One of the levels you're going through, and like it was a dark level, and I thought, wow, that car is lit really well.
Oh,
and I
Vegas?
Walked, yeah, and I
It was in
walked up to it,
Vegas.
and it was like a Dodge vehicle. I was like, oh, okay,
Got it.
Dodge.
Got it.
Understood.
I think if I remember, that was you could shoot all the vehicles, and if you shot that one, nothing would happen. to it.
Exactly. Yeah. Every other vehicle you could blow up, but that one was just like impervious because
Yeah.
it was in the spotlight.
Because it's
American craftsmanship. Right
I was
there.
gonna say it's built Dodge tough, but that's not the thing.
Close.
What's Dodges?
Ram tough.
Dodge.
And Rams are made by
Sure.
Dodge.
Let's see.
Oh, there you go.
Chevy-
Okay.
Dodge.
So you're gonna settle. Buy a Dodge.
There you go.
That's
Like a rock. No, that's Chevy.
There's a computer mouse distracting the fuck out of me over there. Like, I can't take my eyes off it.
Either that mouse is on acid or I am.
Yeah.
Gus, did we ever go over what your favorite thing about games was, man?
We didn't, but I felt like I was going to be repeating the same thing. It's
okay.
like I like story. Like to me, I'm interested in absorbing and taking in story. Like to me, games are just like almost like another avenue, like movies.
Oh, yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
I just want to see what story someone else wants to tell. And games are interesting because, you can direct it to an extent. You kind of have some control over it. Largely, in the end, you don't. On almost any game, even games that proclaim to have free choice. Like you really,
Right. All right, Peter Molyneux.
you're on a set
Right.
path. But that being said, I still enjoy the journey getting
Yeah.
there.
Are you one of the guys who will say in a game like Fallout 3 will like read all the terminals and shit,
Oh, yeah.
like to really get into that story? Yeah.
I want to know everything about the world.
I'm a lot like that. Quantum Break was a lot like that. Like every collectible is
Oh,
a thing
God,
you could
there's
read.
so much
God.
to read.
God.
Every single there was like 200 something collectibles. in
Quantum
each
Break
one.
started to kill me.
Oh,
There was too much.
There was a lot.
there was
Especially
one-
the
like
fan
Assassin's Creed 1.
There was one fucking thing in that where you could turn on an audiobook of somebody reading like a Shakespearean play, like really annoyingly. And like, so in the level, you would turn it on and it was next to an enemy radio. And you'd be like, I'm just going to leave that on. Like you say it in the thing. So you're just playing it through the radio and they're like, shut up, like shut that up, whoever's
Wow.
doing it. But then in the episode, like one of the main
Oh, that was a
villains.
ripple.
Yeah, it was a ripple. One of the main villains like walks into a room and you can hear it playing over the speaker and he's like, what is that? And they're like, we don't know. We don't know how to turn it off and stuff like that in the
Whoa.
episode. It was like so cool.
That's really cool.
There's a moment in that game, and I'll say this without spoilers, where someone goes back in time and has to like go through a bunch of time.
Oh, there's time travel?
over
Spoiler!
again. And in their like second go through of time, they keep a journal for like 17 years or something, and it's so like you can go through and read 17 years
Yeah,
of that person's journal
Oh my god.
of reliving all of this shit, and
insane.
you're like, how long is this?
Who did they
Oh my God, they-
write that?
Yeah, they wrote this and then they put it in the game. This is taking forever.
Do you think they had like somebody was tempted to just copy paste a few entries to see if anybody would notice?
I started reading
Like
it.
day 712
Yeah, I
is a lot
stopped.
like day
Yeah.
812.
Well, I mean, I didn't read through like the whole thing of that. Every now and again, they have like ones like that where it really adds to the story sometimes, like if you want to go through it and read it. They have other ones that are just like fucking stupid. Like there was a guy who was writing a screenplay called like Time Stabber or something. It's about like you could stab somebody and send them back in time.
It was. I don't think I would call it a screenplay. It was like a thinly veiled fantasy. It was basically a fanfic about because
It was him and, like, the
and the
doctor.
doctor that he was
Yeah,
writing
yeah.
it to were characters in it.
And like it was like so good because he would write it by like
Yeah.
explaining what was happening. He's like, she's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" He's like, "Well, I stabbed this guy, but not that hard, so it sent him back in time
he
this
was,
far."
He was
And
always really the main character was always really terse. Like I stab,
then I stabbed, yeah, it was, and then like
and then
one
he
of the,
died, and then he got
One
up
of the
again.
last things you could find in the game was a TV that if you turned it on, it just had a guy stand there with his back to the camera, and he spins around with a knife, and it's like Time Stabber. That's the thing. It was like so great.
That's so funny.
There,
Man.
yeah, there were a lot of really good Easter eggs. But in that journal, if you go through like to like September 11th, it's like, well, I tried to stop it. Nobody believed
Oh
me.
man,
It's like okay.
Oh, that's
we,
funny,
that's
man.
really cool.
yeah,
God, that's great.
We've come all the way around on it.
Love that shit, man.
All right. Well, the hourglass is
Just
empty.
about there.
It's a teeter
Oh,
out.
and there it is.
goes.
Wow.
So,
as soon as you pointed it out.
in
So
Gus's
go watch
brain.
the Achievement Hunter stream.
Yeah.
Fuck those Funhouse
Oh,
guys.
and when we post
Pansies.
this episode of the patch, we're going to be adding a special bonus segment at the end. I forgot to mention. I had a chance to interview Duncan Jones and Robert Kaczynski from the Warcraft movie at PAX East.
Nice.
So if you continue watching the patch for another few minutes, you'll see Jeff and I interview them. All right. On that note, we'll see you guys next week, and thanks for watching.
Gaming.youtube.com/achievementhunters/live.
Thanks everybody for coming out. It's Jeff and Gus here from Rooster Teeth, and we're talking with Duncan Jones and Rob Kaczynski from the Warcraft movie. Yeah. Duncan is the writer, the director, and he also wrote the screenplay. One of the people who wrote the screenplay for the movie.
yes.
And Rob plays Orgrim Doomhammer in the Warcraft movie. So thanks for taking the time to be with us. So there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, like when it comes to the Warcraft movie. You know, I've been playing WoW for 12 years, and even before that, I was a huge fan of the Warcraft universe. And one of the things that I like most about Warcraft and the story of Warcraft is how, in my opinion, I've been playing Horde for a long time, is how nuanced the conflict between the Alliance and the Horde is. And it's not necessarily, in my opinion, not necessarily black and white. It's like people or different races struggling to get along and fight over common shared resources. Like, how difficult is that, to portray in a movie? It's not necessarily clear black and white. It's like, it's there's a lot of subtlety to that conflict.
Well, I mean, Warcraft, you're a 12-year veteran, I'm a 20-year veteran. So I was playing the real-time strategy games when Orcs and Humans first came out. Actually, I played Lost Vikings before that came out. So I've been a fan of Blizzard games since the very start. But I think one of the things that I loved about it is, besides the fact that, I think they took a lot of the fantasy tropes that we kind of know and recognize from Tolkien and Dungeons & Dragons and other places, but they found a way to put their own twist. And I think one of the things that makes it signature Warcraft is the fact that there are heroes all over the place, on all sides. And especially because the very first game, Orcs and Humans, is based on a sort of a bilateral conflict between the orcs and humans. It made sense with our movie to sort of go back to that and start with that first conflict. And it also made sense that the audience would be able to empathize and care about both sides. That was really important.
That makes total sense to me. And I know you talk about being a longtime fan. I know you're also, Rob, you're also a fan of the Warcraft universe. I've heard stories that you, during production on Pacific Rim, you would play World of Warcraft in your downtime, and that maybe in a kind of roundabout way led to you being involved in this project.
I mean, yeah, it kind of did. I was shooting Pacific Rim, and I had a 4-hour break, and I pulled out my laptop. I just sat there next to the producers. I start playing it, and Gillian looks over to me. She's the producer from Legendary, and she goes, "Don't be a dick," which is a refrain I often hear. And I was like, "Why? Why?
What could I possibly be doing wrong?
What could I possibly be doing wrong? Hold on, let me put my pants back on." And she says, "What are you doing? You know what you're doing. You're being disingenuous." I was like, I don't know what's happening here. And she says to me the fatal words that ruined her life, which is, "You know we're making that movie." Took my pants right back off. I then pestered her for about 2 years. At that point, Sam Raimi was rumored to direct. Duncan killed him, literally removed him from the process. And I just harassed her. I wanted to be a consultant. I would have just held hands or got coffee for anybody. I just wanted to be on the set. As you know, I've been playing it for so many years and to such a high level that it meant so much to me. And then eventually, Gillian from Legendary set me up with Stuart, who's one of the producers on the movie, who said, "There's no part for you in this." And
You said that?
Yeah. He said, "There's no part. There's no part. You're too ugly. You're too fat." And I was like, "That's okay." He's like, "Come up and visit though, and we'll make you feel." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." And then he calls like a week later and says, "Actually, there might be a role for you." And I was like, "Cool," thinking it might be, second kobold from the left or hogger or something. And then
You'd be a great hogger.
I'd be a great hogger, wouldn't I? Don't even need to wear fake hair, anything. And then, Duncan says, "Do you want to be Orgrim?" Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Are you mental? Of course I do. Other than Arthas, it's pretty much my number one role that I would want. I wouldn't want to be Thrall. It came out of it felt very fated, very predestined, and if I hadn't been a part of this movie, would have been such a miss for me in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then, in your personal lives, are you guys Horde or Alliance? And it's an important question.
It is an important question. He's allowed to answer it. I'm not allowed to answer it because I absolutely have to be.
You have to be impartial.
Non-denominational.
Yeah.
Although what I will say is, back in ancient times, before World of Warcraft started, there was a game called Ultima Online.
Yeah.
And I used to run a guild for Ultima Online, and me and all of my guildies basically migrated from Ultima Online to World of Warcraft when the beta started for that and started vanilla. Now, half of them wanted to play Horde and the other half wanted to play Alliance. And that was heart-rending for me because I kind of had to make a commitment. I can't tell you what side I committed to, but
you
I
did lose
did
half
have to
of
make
your
a
friends,
choice.
essentially.
It was like Sophie's Choice, but with orcs.
I started off as Alliance through Vanilla and Burning Crusade, and I was like a real for the Alliance, run kind of player, and then we transferred to Horde. I applied to a top guild, and I had to faction change over. I went over to that faction at that point, and restarted and joined them, and then I stayed with them as a Horde player, with the majority of my characters being Horde until today.
And found that it was so much more fun on the Horde side.
Well,
It was. Griefing is much easier on the Horde side because there are no. It's very controversial, but the Horde are much better at PvP.
yeah, of course.
So you got much better backup.
Well, it's I think about professional wrestling, right? It's you want to be the heel. You want to be the guy that everyone's booing and hating, and when it comes to PvP, that's what I like. I like going out and be
It's hard to be a good guy when you're undead.
Yeah.
You know?
And like I said earlier, I think at its core, it's just a misunderstanding. It's like, I mean, the Horde aren't bad. They're just misunderstood. Like,
But that's what we're trying to say with the film, you know, like the war is essentially the villain in this piece that we made, and you know the orcs have good and bad within themselves. There's two major factions here, which is the orcs and the humans, not necessarily the Horde and Alliance, but orcs and humans. And within those factions themselves, there are also splits. You know, that's real world politics, and that's in the lore of the game, and that's in the history of the game as well. Like it's subtle and it's graded and it's you know, it's confusing.
Yeah.
And that's what we've put on the screen. Not something confusing, but something that is intertwined and something that is complex.
it's not just black and white.
Yeah, it's more than just bang, smash, kill, run. It's a film about war. There's a bit of that.
You talk about war being the villain in this. You know, have you talked about the time frame in the Warcraft universe when this movie takes place? Because based on observation from the trailers, it seems like First War, you know, orcs coming through the portal into Azeroth for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a first contact story. So it really is about the escaping of Draenor and coming to Azeroth for the first time. And one of the questions that's always going to come up for people who are sort of very familiar with Warcraft is how many changes are there? How much tweaking to lore is there in order to make it work as a movie? Everything that we did right from the very, very start to the very end, we did very closely working with Blizzard. And so that there are moments where there's some retconning and some sort of changing things to make it work for the movie, but as much as we could, we tried to keep to the lore, whether it be, you know, characters, major moments in the history, and even the visual design as well, which was a major labor of love, was to try and find a way to transform something which was very stylistic and cartoonish in the games at times, and turn it into something which could work and exist in a live action real world, but at the same time you got to keep that thing that makes it feel like Warcraft.
So, just bouncing off of that, do you have an orc say Zug Zug in the film?
Do I look like the kind of guy who wouldn't have an orc say Zug Zug in Warcraft?
I think I'm excited about that. Like it's like I mentioned, you know, I played a lot of the game. I'm very versed in the universe, and I think that, you know, there are millions of people who are intimately familiar with this universe, and I think that
let me tell you, Zug Zug actually has a key moment in the film.
If we hear Zug Zug, or when we hear Zug Zug, I know there's going to be like resounding like applause and cheering in the theater when people hear that moment, because it's so iconic in Warcraft. So I've read that, you know, when filming the movie, it was, you know, you all shot for 120 days, and then even after that, you know, you've been through 20 months of post-production on the film. You know, how do you keep fresh eyes on it? You know, this is a project that's, you know, you spent so much time on set shooting, and then after the fact, you have to spend so much time looking at it over and over. Like, how do you stay fresh?
I mean, I think all films, and I know you guys have made a film as well, but all films go through a remaking process, whether you're writing the film, shooting the film, editing the film. You know, you're making a new film in a sense each time. And with this one, there's just a couple of extra stages of remaking the film. And the visual effects is obviously a huge component of this movie. We were fortunate to be working at this crazy scale where we were actually able to build huge amounts of the world for camera. But ILM came in and did this extraordinary work making Rob Kaczynski look handsome, which I think they did a great job of.
20 months.
Took 20 months.
20 months.
So half the budget, I heard.
Yeah, half the budget? Yeah. I mean, that must be a relief to you as the actor, you know, going in and, I mean, well, I shouldn't assume. Was it a relief going in and instead of doing, you know, practical effects and makeup and having to sit in a makeup chair for 8 hours a day, instead you get to go in and do, you know, a motion capture performance, you know. Did you feel like it was beneficial to do it that way?
I mean, I've done full body and face prosthetics before, and it was the worst 6 months of my entire life. And when we were like discussing this, and whether, you know, and it was like I'd already auditioned, and they said, "Hey, do you want to be my Orgrim?" I was like, "Yeah, I do, really, really badly." But there was this bit in the back of my head that was going, if it's full body and face prosthetics, I don't know what I don't know. I mean, I will kill myself to do this film. Can I do this? Can I do it? And then when Duncan told me it was motion capture, hallelujah! It was like the best moment of my life that I could do it. And I tell you something, motion capture has come on in such leaps and bounds. I mean, ILM did things like The Incredible Hulk, and when you look at Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and you see the life and the soul in Caesar and in Cobra, like these characters have evolved now where the digital effects, I think, they have their place, but when you can do a performance as nuanced and as real and as complete as you can in motion capture nowadays, it's a better version of storytelling.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think one of the things we do at the beginning of Warcraft, and it's almost because we want to show that we have the balls to be able to do it, is we hold on a close-up of Duratan, who's one of our sort of leads, for maybe 8-10 seconds, and normally you're always trying to cut out of the effect shots as fast as possible, but it's just so good, and you're in this close-up, and it looks like this, I mean, it is this living, breathing, believable, empathetic character, and you just sit watching him looking at his wife who's asleep, and it's just like, wow, yeah, I understand this guy. You know, it's not a monster, it's a person.
I think, one of the first promotional images that came out from the movie was a close-up of Duratan. And, I know when I saw that, I thought the same thing. It's like, normally you try to hide that and you try to cut away from it because things like that typically in the past look better in motion than they do in still. But, to release one of the first promotional images like that, it was like a statement, like, this is going to look good. You do not have to worry about the visual fidelity of this project. And it was really encouraging to see. So, when you're concepting how to shoot this film, did you take a lot of inspiration from like RTS or MMO camera angles? Like, does that play into it at all? Like, do you have to show an overhead shot?
Everything's from an aerial view.
Well, I think anyone who's seen some of the trailers, I think it was an early trailer, and there is a little shout out to the old RTS isometric view with the camera going from village to village. So that was a little shout out to the RTSs and where we can find moments to do it, and it doesn't bring you out of the movie. Although now that I've said it, you're all going to notice that and you're going to be thinking, oh, that's from the RTS. But if I hadn't said that, it would feel organic and natural to the movie. And so there's a few things that are sort of buried in there that are little call outs to the games themselves.
No, that's awesome.
And there's plenty of background Easter egg stuff. There's so much of that stuff that you're definitely not going to see when you first see it.
Yeah, I feel like, based on the history that you all have with the game and the knowledge of it, it's the kind of movie you're going to want to watch multiple times to see, all the Easter eggs and the background things you don't pick up on.
And, one of the other things is we, the players, one of the main reasons, I can't speak for everybody, but one of the reasons I liked going and playing that game 18 hours every day, because I liked the world. The world was somewhere I liked to be. And this film does the same thing. It's going to be a world you want to go back to. It has the same complexity, the same landscapes, it all done in the kind of way that we always wanted to see it done, you know what I mean? When we all watched the trailers at the beginning of every game, the cinematics that came out with Arthur's My Son and all that stuff, we always wanted a movie. And we've got it now, and this is going to be one of those places where you can just go and feel at home like we always did playing the game.
And what I would add is also, one of the things that we wanted to do is, Peter Jackson made Lord of the Rings a while ago now, and that was absolutely seminal, set the bar for what a fantasy film is, I think, for all of us. But it doesn't feel like there had been that many fantasy universes depicted that measured up to that, that made you feel that place was as real as those, especially the first three films, made you feel. So we wanted to find a way to first of all reach that level, but at the same time differentiate ourselves. And I think just the nature of Blizzard's Warcraft artwork, the fact that it has this kind of slightly hyperkinetic, stylized look, and this saturation and this color, that was kind of we wanted to find a way to make that, but do that in a realistic way. So that's hopefully from the trailers you get a sense that that's where we went. But one of the other things that I noticed, is when you play Warcraft, the transitions from one environment and one territory to another are quite rapid. You get these hard divisions between forests, between Elwyn Forest and Westfall, or these quick transitions. And one of the things we did in the film is when you're looking at a larger sort of panoramic landscape, you see multiple terrain types. and it's very subliminal, and you don't really kind of necessarily immediately realize that you're seeing something you just don't see in the real world that much, but it feels accurate. And it's funny because it does give you a fantasy world and a feeling of a reality that is very different than anything you've seen in other fantasy movies.
No, that sounds exciting, and I'm really looking forward to the movie. It's coming out June 10th.
Yep.
So we're in the home stretch here. So thanks, guys, for taking the time to sit down with us. Really appreciate it. And thank you, Jeff.
I'm happy to be here.
Thanks, Jeff. You were great.
For the Horde Lions!
For the Horde Lions.